All righty, y'all. Today is Friday. It's Financial Freedom Friday, and we are live tonight. Sometimes we do our pre-recorded, so we're live tonight on Facebook, and we are so excited. We are Derek and Crystal Oliver. We're your new favorite financial coaches, and we have been doing a series this fall called Marriage, Money, and Mission, and it's been fire. So good. And so tonight we have Kwaku and Sybil Amuti. Hey, y'all.
Hey.
Hi, guys. How are you?
We're so good. Awesome. So good. We're so excited to have you all. So let's jump in. Well, you want to start back?
Yeah. First of all, how is warm and sunny Southern California?
Brother, you just said it.
Warm and sunny.
Warm and sunny.
I answer that question for you.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I tell people all the time, take a look at that tight skin. You see his glow? You know what this is.
This is a product of Africa, here.
This brother's taking in all the sun and the warm. No, it was Derek, it was the right move for us. The timing was right, and California is a complete blessing. We actually make 4 months tomorrow.
Really? Wow. It seems like y'all been over for a year. It's only been
It really does. It's going so fast, but it's been great. Thank you for asking. It's been great. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit. One of the things that we've been talking about is marriage, money, and mission. And really we're meeting with couples and we're interviewing couples that look like us, that are married, that make their money either together or as entrepreneurs, even separately, and also that are on mission together. And so you talked about how earlier when we were talking, you talked a little bit about, you felt called to even business, you felt called to even the move that you guys just made. So give us a little bit more about kind of what you guys do in business.
I'll go first. I'm a creative consultant. So technically I get the calls when companies are in dire need or in great need to kind of up their visual aesthetic. Like they might have great products, they might have great services, great campaigns, they kind of need a boost. So I come in and either work, solo, or I work and lead teams to do those things and create ROI and value for clients from a visual standpoint. So simply put, I feel like I'm a big third grader. I make pictures all day, and have a lot of fun doing it.
Funny. So I am the founder and host of The Great Girlfriends, which is a personal development platform for women. And it's a podcast and a community, and we have a host of products that have come out. And, in my prior life, I worked in brand strategy. I say that because I'm now attending to The Great Girlfriends full time, but my role in brands and even with The Great Girlfriends is to help deliver an important message to the market, help people understand how to create a bridge between the intent of a product, the messaging, what it wants to communicate, and how people want to consume it. So even with The Great Girlfriends, my message of the importance of friendship, personal relationship with yourself and then with others, and how to supercharge or electrify that is the mission that I am on right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. So how do you guys mesh? Like, when do your two businesses or industries come together? Do you guys work together at some point?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
They usually mesh all the time, actually.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, people in my field work very, very closely with people in her field. They give us the directive, and we kind of create the visuals and the marketing around, the strategy, the great strategies and stuff that people in her position do. So we've been working together for we've been together for
We've been together for 19 years, and we've been working for about 16. So we actually started our first business. We were dating. We started a greeting card company called Milk and Honey. And
that's not
dope though, Milk.
That's not for everybody.
It's so dope, Derek. It's so dope.
But that's not for everybody to do. But we did it.
We did it.
And it was great. It was really, really good.
Yeah, we did it, and the cards were beautiful and it performed well. But I know I personally got scared of the success that the business was having at the time, because I came from the get a job and have the, get health insurance generation.
Yeah.
So the idea of cliff jumping, as our your sister Brandis would say, was intimidating at the time. And so I decided at that point that I could no longer commit. And I think the same.
Oh yeah, I definitely got scared.
He was like,
I
"Bet,
definitely got scared." Yeah.
Not that we didn't believe in what the product was or could do, but we just at that time didn't understand our power.
Yeah. One of the things that we had Anderson and Deandra, a guy, on last week. Anderson and Deandra, yeah. So Deandra told us a little bit of advice, Kwaku, that you gave her before she even got married. And
it must have been good.
She mentioned it, so I want to ask you about it, where she talked about keeping things separate. So keeping your marriage, compartmentalizing when you do work together, keeping your marriage and your business partnership separate. What does that really look like for you all?
It takes a high level of emotional intelligence, I have to say, that you that you develop over time, because you have to be able, if you're working with your partner, you've got to be able to cut a certain thing. Like when the work clock is off, you have to be able to say, okay, now we're moving roles. We're switching in. For us, it's like we're switching into parents, or we're switching into dating back when we had the card company. But it's weird because it makes for some very long hours when you work together. Yeah. But if you don't know how to shut those things off, that can lead to some really tough conversations and some tough times. But that is the one place in life I do feel like it's great to compartmentalize, to say we work together on this from this hour to this hour. And then when that clock goes off, what's for dinner? What are we eating? Where are we going? Let's date. What are we doing? The whole nine. So yeah, I still stand by that advice. I absolutely still stand by it.
I think we have over the years, and I told you guys this before, I have a high respect for Kwaku and his work ethic and just him as a person. And so we've always given ourselves the space to grow in business and learn in business, and also kind of create a landing pad to be creative, because he is extremely creative. And I'm creative, and we both have structure in different ways. Structure that we both crave and even commit to can be very different sometimes. So it can show up in good ways and bad ways, but we've learned to establish some time and space. There's a time and space and place for every conversation, every outcome, really creating, a workspace that we love, like a business that we love, and making sure that we don't create any conflicts by imposing too hard on one another. And so I think it's been good for us over the years. I mean, when I say we've worked together, art directors, strategists are like hand in hand in the world that we work in. But what's been my greatest respect is, as he's reading the 4 agreements, agreement number 1, Kwaku is impeccable with his word.
So are you.
And so, we try to commit to, if I'm going to give you this work deliverable, that's over here. And if I say I'm doing dishes tonight, that's over there. And if I miss it or you miss it, we're human in between, right? And so,
I love that. Yeah.
But he goes into his theory that is so great about, I don't judge it and he doesn't judge me because of his, come on, fill in your own blank.
What? Highest positive intent.
I got my electronic note. Repeat that for me again, brother.
Highest positive intent.
I got that.
It simply put, it means when I share something, or when something is shared with me, I act in the highest positive intent towards someone, and then I believe the highest positive intent about that person when they're speaking to me. So
that's good.
She has to invariably, which we've run into, if she has to share something with me, an observation about me, or something that I can correct, or something I can fix in my life, I have to listen to it through the lens. Can you listen through a lens? That's kind of weird. I have to listen to it through the filter of the highest positive intent, which means she doesn't mean, she's not trying to tear me down.
That's good.
Because if she tears me down, then that means when the work is over, there's nothing left for her. So why would she?
Yeah.
So if I come to every interaction with HPI in mind, I live a better life. We live a better life, you know, so that means we can work together. I can allow her to make mistakes, because we also talked about earlier how we always want to judge people by their actions, but want to be judged by our intentions.
Yes.
And that's huge, and that's very off. So we don't come at each other like that. So that's what's made 16 very highly productive and amazing years. Like,
yeah. And I will say, or if we do happen to ever do come at each other like that, because that does happen, right? Yeah. We have a foundation that we return to. So we have a standard, and because every now and then you're gonna slip, you know, your anger is gonna precede you, or your tongue, and you go, oh my God, I said that out loud. Oh Lord, did he hear it? How much
I heard it.
And then we have to go back to the things that we know are true. What are the virtues and the values of the house? You know, like our virtues and values of our marriage. What are things that we committed to being to one another? And how much of that do we continue to show evidence of? That's how we, you know, continue to believe that we can create the space we need, you know?
But I think that also we've worked together for so long and done so many things together. For one, which I think is a really great attribute, and this is how you know it works. It's when we weren't working together, we yearned to work together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We were like, I can't wait. I remember we saying, I can't wait to work with you again.
Yeah.
Like there was like a year or two we weren't working together. You know, we were off in our separate careers doing our thing, and we were like, we just can't wait. We were like that. We were like a group that broke up for a minute. And like, we can't wait to get back into the studio together.
Yeah.
The reunion.
Yeah, because we have a shorthand, and we've never stopped the reunion tour. But at the end of it, so that was one. But then it's like two. It's really just we've communicated with each other and built a shorthand over so many years that I almost don't even know where the work starts and stops anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you know, yeah, well, because we partner in everything. It's partnering in business, it's partnering in, you know, marriage and raising kids. And it's this beautiful flowing thing that we have. So I love it that I don't know where it ends. Like, it's just.
I don't love it. I just told him earlier, I said, I heard about this restaurant. If you want to take me on a date, you want to court me out in the streets.
Wait,
right?
So now that's a good one. That's a good one. Because you know what though?
Because we've been busy and you have to, we've been busy. And so you have to make sure you take out the time
to
really attend to the things that are important in the household. You know, I mean,
wait a minute, let me ask y'all this question. Do y'all talk business on your dates, or do you try to keep your dates a date?
No, we need to work on. We need to talk about the kids all the time.
Answer her question.
No.
So y'all, that's a good thing, right?
No.
You don't talk
We
about
talk about the kids so
we,
much.
we don't talk about business. No, we do. We will talk about the kids. And then I think last vacation we went on, we were like, we cannot talk. Let's not talk about the kids.
But 15 minutes later.
Like, yeah, but we don't talk about business on vacation. We don't. I mean, on dates or no. When we're talking about business, it's exclusive time.
But I know what we do on dates. What we've done on dates, which I think is great, is we leave space on dates when we're talking about anything that has to do with us to dreams. We talk a lot about dreams and where we see dreams going. You know, we communicate those things together. Like, you know, I tell her where I see her and she tells me where she sees me. And we really communicate about that. We leave that as space where there is no limitation to us, where it's like, I see you on TV all over the place and doing this and doing that. And it's, you know, that's kind of like our flirting kind of way.
That's dope. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm like, look.
Speaking to each other lives like that and seeing, being a visionary for each other. Like, I think that's amazing. I think that's awesome.
So that gives us a new way to have dates. Look, y'all just gave us.
Well, we need to have a date. First of all, we need to go on the date.
He need to book the date.
I need to book the date.
Yeah, I'm like, you need to take her out, right? She needs to hit the street.
Let me say this too, though. I thank God for my wife because she won't sit there and stew on that. She will actually say it out loud.
Yes.
She doesn't, and this is beautiful. And I think that, you know, we can get to men too, but more women I love this about my wife, that I'm never at a loss. I don't know where I can never not locate her.
Good. That's good.
She makes it a great point to always include me on where she is emotionally after she's spoken to God.
Well, that means that you've given her, that you are a safe place for her to be able to, like, I would say that for her to be able to say, speak her truth, you know, like, this is what I need right now. And so I love that.
Yeah, I think I figured out that I figured out over time that he couldn't read the cues. You know,
that's a good point too.
I was like, his tantrum means nothing to him. It's not, he didn't even see it. But if I say something to him point blank, clear to the face and simple, or if I say, you know what, let's try to meet on this tomorrow. Whatever that thing is I want to meet on tomorrow, oh, it's fixed before the end of the night.
I'm not trying to have a meeting
the next day.
I don't want the meeting.
So I learned early in, like, okay, I have to be very direct with him because he can't read it. Versus as a daughter, my dad read my tantrums, right? And my dad responded. But, you know, the last steward I had, and now my husband, I'm like, I'll throw, you know, stomp or stuff around or it's just like, what's wrong with her? Like, he would never translate it back to anything that he did, like, or that I felt offended by. So
because I don't do anything wrong.
Bad day in office.
What do I do wrong?
So I learned, okay, go ahead and lay that thing out, you know.
Look, just shoot it straight. Shoot it straight.
Shoot it straight.
Shoot it straight. And the funny thing is, he doesn't shoot straight.
I don't.
Really?
No, his style is different from mine.
I go to God with everything.
Yeah, his communication is very layered. You know?
Do you send messages? So you speak, to Sybil? Like, do you speak indirectly or send?
I don't even know what I do at this point.
Can he still see me?
What do I do? You're not on mute. You're not on mute.
You know, he has more covert ways of speaking, right? So you know, he gets in code, or he starts to get more. If there's something he wants to say, I won't say he gets volatile, but you start to feel his energy shift because he's a calm person. You start to feel the tension rising, you know, or he'll come down hard on the kids. You know, hey, we're going to bedtime. You know, I'm like, okay.
Well, I just believe in bedtime.
Here comes the sergeant.
The real sergeant.
That Law and Order gets intense. I'm like, okay, something's going on here.
That's just the order of the house.
I talked about so many things. Y'all was talking about your careers. I'm going back to your journey. I'm curious about your career journey, from your career journey, and then you know, going into your entrepreneurial journey. Can you tell us about both of those journeys and how you landed both of you full-time in entrepreneurship? Just kind of take us through your journey as a career person.
I tell you, I know mine came down to one moment. I had always been, you know, the guy at the job until I saw some consultants come in and do a worse job than I had done. And then they left. Wow. They left with 3 times my salary, and I still had to fix what they broke. So at that time, I said, okay, I'm on the wrong side of the desk. Let me try. At least if I'm going to try, at least if I'm going to fail, I at least a guy said, a friend of mine told me this. He said, if you're going to fail better. At least fail better. You're going to fall down. Just keep. But most of the people out here are falling down. Most of the successful people you see out here they're still falling down.
Yeah.
Right.
So I remember coming back to Sybil with it. Hey, this is what I'm going to do. She was always like, she said, go for it. And my paycheck immediately took a dip. And I'm talking a dip. But the beautiful thing about that at the time, and I will never forget this, and this is why, like, I owe this woman the utmost respect at all times, is that she never made me feel like I was less during that time. And so you go through that valley of despair, and you're working and you're trying to figure it out, and you're grabbing clients and everything like that. And then when it caught fire, and I've never looked back. So it was the support I needed in that valley of despair moment. It got me what I wanted. And it was the willingness of Sybil to be able to take the role of, okay, well, you're chasing the dream, I got us.
Yeah.
Which I think in her story made it easier for me to do that same thing too. Like we've kind of flip-flopped our whole relationship of who was the one who was holding down a job while the other person was doing this and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, for me, it was really easy. The minute I saw that, I was like, okay, entrepreneurship might be my thing. It might be my thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead. I was going to ask you a follow-up question about how were you able to keep your composure in the midst of Kwaku trying to figure things out. He's entering into the consulting space. How were you able to keep your composure in the midst of that and encourage him as he was finding his way?
Well, I thought he was on his way. Like, he wasn't in search. He was actually on a track, to me, from what I saw. So I understood that he had to like really start planting seeds and make an investment in building a business that he wanted to see. And he was supporting his own gifts. I mean, he came with his portfolio to New York and he wanted to be a designer, but he was working in web. What were you? Web.
I was in the nonprofit at the point.
But he was like in the web department, but not in design. And was like, well, do you have this great talent? You need to be a designer. And, but we knew he had to get his feet on the ground to get the exposure he needed. But I felt like it was his strategy towards the place he was going. Like, I didn't doubt that he was going to get where he needed to go because his talent was just so rich, So for me, it wasn't even I don't know if we had a timeline attached to it. We just knew that it was not going to be long. I didn't think it was going to be long that he would have to start small, build relationships, even taking an opportunity that was, probably a third of what he was making prior to that to actually, get the resume built that he wanted. And he went from that opportunity to the Knicks.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
and then he's back 5 times over, it was just,
wow.
So, and I think part of it goes back to Derek, what you were saying, we decided early in that, all right, if God's gonna be the center, then we got to be obedient and we have to honor when we hear him saying something. Yeah. We got to be on it because we'd rather do that than to, deal with the consequence of being disobedient. And so when he left, that nonprofit, he knew it was time to go. When he took this opportunity, he knew it was time. When the Knicks opportunity came, that came from a friend who believed in his talents and said, hey, you need to go out after this. And I mean, and I don't think at that time you would have even looked for that.
No, it was shown to me. Somebody sent it to me.
And so I kind of feel like when you do put yourself in that position and you show your belief, you make your belief evident by taking these opportunities to really step into it and you show up. It's not long before people will catch on to that. And to invest in your belief. And I think people have continued to invest in Kwaku's belief in his talent,
It's almost like people are waiting to see if you believe.
They're waiting on you. Yes.
So are you going to be consistent? Are you going to be persistent? Do you believe in what you're doing? And then they jump on board.
And if you don't show up for yourself, no one else can show up for you. And so, I mean, for me, I'm like, for a man to take, a pay cut, what you consider a pay cut, is a big display of trust in yourself. I'm like, you really do believe in yourself. I got your back on. I mean, it wasn't even it was just like, okay, this is what we're doing.
No, and there was a moment there that defined it for me, that defined where we were for me. And I'll never forget, this is part of my story of us. It was, we had gone to an Italian restaurant one night to eat dinner. Mind you, I'd taken this huge pay cut. I mean, literally I was making about $10 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I was making back then. I know.
Forgot about that. Like,
I know.
Yeah.
So we're going out to dinner and I can't afford dinner. I mean, and we're sitting at the table, the bill comes. This was the smoothest move I'd ever seen. It was like a movie. All of a sudden the bill comes and I feel a tap on my knee underneath the table. And it's her hand holding the debit card, holding her debit card, allowing me to even just pay. And it was her. I know.
That's how you do it right there.
Listen, I I never forgot that moment. That was the moment. I mean, I'd already been in love with her and everything, but that was the moment I said to myself, I said, this woman, under my watch, she will never want.
Wow. Wow.
Oh,
It was,
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, look, I have to snap that one up.
and it was so effortless though. It wasn't trying to do it in a way to preserve whatever ego I had at that moment.
Yeah, because men, I think, women needs love and men need respect.
That was the ultimate respect.
Yeah.
That was the ultimate respect. I
Yeah.
said, oh, okay. All right, cool. No matter what we do from this point, I got you. But what about you?
Your journey, yeah.
My
Your journey.
entrepreneurial journey.
I know, right?
No, my entrepreneurial journey, listen, from raking leaves back in the day, selling candy illegally at school, and all the way forward to now, I've never wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Wow.
No, it was just not my thing. I wasn't out seeking entrepreneurship. I'm found an entrepreneur now because what I wanted to do inside a box wouldn't happen in a box. And so I felt like God led me outside of the box. And I found myself in this world of, the entrepreneurial world where, we handle all departments and all things. My journey started, right?
Right, tell me about it.
Marketing, come on, all of it, until you can get the hands on deck to help support you. But my entrepreneurial journey, if I had to say, where did it start? I started in GIS mapping. I went to school for urban planning and technology. I started in GIS mapping. I mapped for years. I mapped during the night at night consulting while I was modeling and trying to get as many gigs as possible during the day. And Kwaku was like, do you even have a job?
I didn't even know she worked, y'all.
I worked at night. I worked at night. I was creating maps. This is way before technology had, phones and maps and all these things were happening. There were people behind the maps to make it happen. Now satellites do all of that. In short, so I worked in that realm, and that realm sort of took me into my curiosity around branding, because I noticed the conversations that were being had around maps and marketing of people and where they live and how they operate and what should be said to them to market them and reach them. And that just made me more curious. And then fast forward, I took a job as a brand manager at Victoria's Secret. I skipped a job. I skipped BCBG I was at BCBG on the sales floor. And then I took a job at Victoria's Secret as a brand manager, and they called it the human resources, the manager of people was a brand manager. I didn't understand that, but I'm like, I guess people do represent brands. It makes sense. I paid attention to everything I learned at Limited Brands because I respected the way that they built culture, to the point of some of the things that Kwaku said. We still utilize some of the tools that were learned then. And then fast forward, I go to Bed Bath & Beyond as director of human resources for New York City. Very short-lived job at a company that, I moved away from. Okay, we're gonna move forward. However, the lessons and learnings there again was how can I use people to help change brand culture, and that was like sort of my commitment to what I would do while I worked at this company, and then along the way came some opportunities to kind of pitch in on projects that with colleagues that we met at church, we'll say church members, but people that we met at church who were our friends. And we started to have conversations around brands and pitch ideas. And we didn't know what pitching was. We just knew how to articulate creative ideas. Had no idea how to pitch, didn't understand that, just knew how to converse about an idea. Right. And so we took that sort of basic knowledge and started to viralize that. How can we do that to as many people as possible? How can we grow that? And then after the build of a company that we were at, was when God, made it clear to me that my role as chief strategy officer at this company that I was so passionate about was time to go, was over, because he had something else in store. And so that's when we went on a vacation, and I waited till we got nice and cozy by the sea, the coral sea in Fiji, wind blowing, and
we ain't need all that. You could have just stayed in the living room. I would have.
I waited.
I'm still on the debit card at the Italian restaurant. So you can say whatever.
I waited till we got nice and far away, and I was ready to have this conversation, and Kwaku actually braced the conversation first of, I think it's time for you to leave that position, because I was warring with myself and I had vision that would not happen inside of that box. And I knew it. I knew not to even bring it to there. I knew not to even present the idea in that box, that place where we had created every idea and pitched everything. I knew that one was not to be presented there. I knew I needed to hold on to it. And Kwaku had gotten this clearance from, God, that it was time for me to move on. And I was like, oh my gosh, this confirms everything that I'm hearing. Thank you.
The Lord was working on them. The Lord was working on them.
The Lord was working on it. And I didn't even have to do all my, have all the awkward conversations. I waited on God to, say and give him like the leading on that. And so I made the exit and entered into entrepreneurship full time in 2015. April 15th, 2015 was the day that my birthday, and sort of been forward from there.
That's
wow. So inspiring. Y'all have both have inspiring stories and journeys, and I know so many people will benefit, so many couples, Black couples, or any couple shade who would benefit from y'all's story. What advice would you guys give to couples, young or mature? I won't say old, but mature couples. What advice would you give them about business, marriage, coming together, understanding your roles, raising kids, all in the mix of that, dreaming for each other, speaking vision over one another, trusting in God's?
You got the.
I would say, yeah. My advice would be like, yes, yes, all of that.
Wrong question.
Yeah.
How do you life
together?
You know what's interesting, Derek? We realized a few things that I think will summarize for us. We tell people all the time that any disagreement or anything that we're fighting for our marriage. We're not fighting to prove or dispel or, justify why we should ever part. We're always fighting to protect what we have, what we've established. So, for anybody that's at war, sometimes you're fighting against your marriage and you're not really fighting for your union. You're fighting, or you've created this space where, your marriage is a torture chamber, right? Or it's like, it's a place where you're punishing someone and your spouse for something that happened, way back when. And so it's so important for us, like as married couples, to remember that marriage is just a word, and we make it what we want it to be.
Oh, I love that.
It's just a word, right? If you take it away, it has no relevance to your life. But as long as my name is attached to marriage, what does marriage mean? What can I do with that word? So, we got to take possession of the idea that our marriages belong to us, and we get to create the foundation, and it has nothing to do with everything we saw or didn't see. It's a clean opportunity to really present to the world what we see as values. So checking in with your spouse, like, we got to do this for next year, but we always, talk about our vision for our family. So I want to hear what do you see for us?
Yeah, exactly. That's how she communicated it. I mean, how she communicated it to me. She said, and I'll never forget it. She was like, you know what, babe? It was one year, we were getting toward the end of the year, and I hadn't shared a vision for us. She said, now I can do this by myself. If I don't have, I want to know what you feel, what you think, where are we going?
Yeah.
But if you don't, I'm more than happy to do it on my own. At that point, that put me in turbo drive. I spent a week writing out our vision, you know what I mean? And trying to going to God and figuring it out.
It's a danger. The thing is, like you said earlier, Derek, as women, I have the capacity, right? I can see and I can do it on my own. I don't want to, though. I want to have.
I love it. Yeah.
I want stewardship. So if I know that, if I'm trying to give him the opportunity to make sure he's always at the forefront of that, because if not, then we're only living out one part of the story. We're living out my perception of him as a husband, my perception, and I don't want that. I want him to show up how he feels led, but I want to know what that looks like so I can support it, right? And likewise, I want that same thing from him. So if you don't check in, you won't know that.
No.
And it's not just checking in on what people are not doing. You're not. What is that? That's going to tear and destroy your version of marriage. But what are we building? How are we going to support it? What does that
Yeah.
look like financially? What does it look like emotionally, spiritually,
Well,
mentally, physically?
because to me, even arguments within couples sometimes get to a point of being absolutely ridiculous. Because for me, if I go, whenever you go into an argument, you're looking to be right. That's, I don't know anybody who doesn't. But if I'm arguing with her and we're supposed to be one, how can I be right then? Whatever issue occurred, it's a we thing.
Right.
Right.
Because it's going to take it's going to take us to get out of it.
Right.
So when we come to a place where we have a disagreement, I've got to put my own guard down and say, you know what, how do we figure this out? Even if I made a mistake or if she made a mistake, whatever it is, we made a mistake.
Yeah.
You know, because no matter how bad it is, if it was done to me or I did it, then the other person allowed it, or we always had to figure out, like, what is our role in this whole thing?
Yeah.
Because you're right. I can't build an adversary out of you and expect you to even submit or meet, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
To me, that doesn't make sense, but that's why I stay on highest positive intent. It's like, if we stay on that, then I know at any given moment, no matter what's going on, you've got my back. Yeah. Period. And you've shown that for years. And I do the same in every interaction. Like, I can't just receive it. I got to give it too.
Yeah. You know, you also have to, I mean, for our married couples, even those that are considering marriage, or maybe just even, have exited and revamping, whatever the case, it's so incredibly important to look at our relationships with everything. I have an individual relationship with money, right? A relationship with food, a relationship with my parents. Look at those relationships and the role they played and how it shows up in the way
that's good.
Display in marriage, right? And have those conversations, because there are times when I'm like, oh, I'm looking like something about my family that I may not want to display. But I have to have that self-awareness to know when things are welcome and when they're not welcome in my marriage, because this is our platform. Our marriage is our family platform. So it's important for us to look at those with money, especially because this is, financial literacy is so important. We have to look at our emotional relationship with money. What has it meant? What does it do? What does it do? Is it a tool or is it a weapon? Yeah. Are we afraid of money? Do we love money? How are we managing, or why? Because that'll tell us why we're managing the way we are when we examine our relationship and see if we've given, money a proper role in our family. Have we given food a proper role? Have we given time a proper role? Yeah. Or just, using the values that we inherited and kind of, throwing against the wall.
Well, and, what are, we're especially talking about money, because money does trip people up. What are your rules as a couple around money? Like, we made a rule early before we even got married, that we will never fight about money.
Yeah. And then we would always tithe.
We will always tithe, we always give, never fight about money. So we even got to a point, and it's laughable at this point, but we got to a point. So we had said this early on, way before we got married. We made that rule, and we've stuck to that rule for 19 years. We never fight about money, to the point where I think we had paid our bills one year, many years ago, and we had 25 cents in our account. We didn't even have enough to go to the ATM.
Can withdraw it.
There was nothing you could do. And what I realized in that moment, even looking back, was that's a moment that will crush some people if they don't. They don't have a construct in place, and our construct and our rules made it so that we looked at each other. We looked at the bank statement. It literally, the paper that it was printed on cost more than what we had.
We laughed.
And we looked at each other and broke out laughing.
And then we wrote
25 cent offering
envelope for church.
Wow.
It's better in God's hands than it is in his.
Clearly it's better than in his hands.
Go ahead, take this quarter, do what you did with the fish.
And then miraculous things started happening. So it was like, what are your, for me, it's like, what are your, even for couples and people what are your rules?
Yeah.
And it's okay. You guys can set rules together. And you know what? They're not written on stone tablets. They can change as you grow.
They don't work.
Yes.
Yeah, you'll find out immediately if they work or don't work. And if they don't work, have another meeting, get together and change them.
Yes.
And say, okay, that didn't work. Because I think our lives, especially in relationship, our lives it's like trial and error. We're on trial and error until we go to heaven.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get everything right. You're not going to. So
Everything's in beta.
Everything is in beta. Our job is figure out what's working and do more of what's working, and figure out what's not working and go fix it. Go invest more time fixing that. What do we do? Yeah. So that you have a smooth system. Clearly, I need to take my wife on dates. Y'all heard it, internet. I'm there. Okay, cool. We're gonna follow up. We got to do a where are they now, and hopefully we'll be on a date. but I love with us and for couples, I love the fact that we allow each other to make mistakes. That is huge. I never feel like I can make a mistake that I can't come back from. Now, there are some that I will never make, but like, just general stuff around money and stuff like that, I don't feel like there's mistakes, but I respect her enough to not go out and do something dumb. I'm not like, hey babe, I bought a jet ski. No, that, you don't.
Yeah.
But I know that the mistakes I make won't be judged. I won't be harshly judged for them. And it gives me the space, and it gives me the room to be able to breathe and really hear from God. And hopefully I do it back. Like I try to give it back.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that's just a beautiful part of you guys' story, just the trust and then the grace that you allow. I mean, that is what God does for us as his sons and daughters. He provides that grace so we can improve, we can learn from mistakes, And so, I think that's amazing. I love that component of you guys' relationship and story.
It keeps the skin tight.
Look, we could go on all night because y'all are so full of wisdom. So we've already had a conversation for now. And so we just got so much out of that one. Derek and I were joking that we need to take notes. So we need to come back and watch this and take notes, right? Y'all are so good. And so we're looking forward to whatever it is that God wants to do with you all together. So whatever it looks like, I'm not gonna call it out, but a book or a podcast.
I'm not gonna call it out, but a book. I like that.
I love that.
Y'all have so much to offer and so much for married couples and young married couples. I mean, we're not that young. We're not young, but we feel like just the time that we spend together, we learn so much from you all. And so,
but Crystal, you guys are young. Think about this. How long have your parents been married?
Ooh, Lord.
You're newlyweds, right?
They'll be 51 years in December.
You're newlyweds. My parents
were
were married 53 years. We're newlyweds, all of us.
The best advice somebody gave us was that to treat our marriage like the age that it is, right? And so like, if it's 7 years old, don't treat your marriage like, a lot of times we think, we make it to 7 years, we made it, but you're 7 years old. You're still gonna make those mistakes. You're still gonna, do stupid things, right? And so we, for us in December to be 18, and so we still feel like it's so much to learn, We're just 18 years old, and so that was, I don't know who gave us that.
Some type of marriage group.
Yes. But that has really changed a lot of things because we're like, we're still immature. We're still not fully mature in this marriage. And so as we are growing and getting older, we'll mature. So my parents now, they can teach us all a lot of things. They're 50 years old. So, but thank y'all so much for taking the time out. We appreciate you guys so much. One last question. How can people find you?
thegreatgirlfriends.com. Wives, husbands, cousins, auntie, brothers, sisters, everyone. Go listen to the podcast. Over 300 episodes of the podcast. There's so much content.
Episode 32 of that podcast.
Are you featured on that one?
I'm not gonna say. Go listen to it. If he sounds like me,
it may just sound like you, right?
It may just sound like me.
I love that.
Well, we are looking forward to, like I said already, we're looking forward to what God do in your marriage and through your marriage. So we are grateful for you, and y'all have a good night. Thank you so much again. And y'all know how to find us. We're at budgetmeblack.com, and we're here to serve you, to help you really get your money, your finances. Look, marriage, at this point, we realize how important it is, how important getting your money together and building that foundation together is for your marriage. Yeah. And so call us. You can reach us at budgetmeblack.com. We'd love to meet with you. So thank y'all so much. And y'all have a great night.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.